Welcome back, crew. It's February, and we are diving into Magpie Games' amazing Avatar Legends series. For those who aren't familiar with this is based off of the Avatar The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra properties. It brings all the crazy, bendy goodness to your table, and definitely the system to look out for if you wanted to bring Avatar hijinks back to you and your crew. Today, we're going to be getting into one of my favorite parts of any RPG, and it's building your own character. I've said this way too many times on the channel, but if you want to learn a new RPG, build a PC with it. Even if you're going to be the game master, it shows you what's important to the system and allows you to kind of learn different mechanics as you look stuff up. And especially do it by, not by hand, but don't use an automatic character build. If you go through it, just kind of follow the book and put the pieces in where you need to be, you'll be able to get a good grasp of the system, at least to start with. But for any longtime fans are wondering what happened to First Impressions, or maybe the lucky few of you who may have gotten to see it before I had to pull it, we had a little bit of audio difficulty. I was rushing to get the video up before leaving and did not do my usual audio check, and for some reason I sounded like a dolphin. I don't know what it was. The whole video, 13 minutes or so, was just me and dolphin noises. So lucky few got to see that. Shout outs to, I forgot who let me know that the audio was weird, but thank you for doing that. So we're just going to skip First Impressions, unfortunately, this time, and just dive right into PC building. A little bit of a heads up, though. The other things we're going to be doing for the Avatar Legends series, we're going to be going over the core mechanics, like usual, taking a look at combat, and as always, we try to pick something unique for this system. And I think they did a really good job of laying out the different errors and how they'll affect gameplay. So we're going to take a look at the errors and kind of what type of gameplay style flows with each error. So that'll be our last video, or unique piece for this system. But yeah, let's dive into building a PC. So for those who aren't familiar with the Avatar Legends series, it is powered by the Apocalypse style game made by Magpie, who does Mask as well. So for those who are unfamiliar with that style too, basically what that is, it's a very narrative first game. You kind of build the fiction first, and the mechanics are there to support the fiction. So it's a little bit lighter on the mechanics side as a genre. But one of the things that Avatar does is makes it a little bit more, adds a little bit more meat to the kind of the complexity of some of the mechanics. There's a little bit more combat focused material, which is why we're going to have a whole video dedicated to the combat side. And there's a lot of different techniques and moves, a lot more than if you came from Mask or some of the other systems than you're probably used to on that side. So we're kind of going to take a dive into those as well. But today, we're going to be going through just building a PC. So with that, to get an early thorn, unfortunately, out of the way, I wish they had a one-page sheet that goes over everything that you need for the system. Definitely, if you're new to the system, hopefully my video will be able to help clarify a few things. I had a few questions and I had to kind of reread. I love the flavor they put in with this, but sometimes they put the flavor in the mechanics and it's hard to figure out what's actually mechanic and what's flavor, and it is for me. I'll say that was a little bit of area where I had to spend a little bit more time than I thought I would going through the different pieces. Kind of along those sides too. So you see we're in the chapter 4, making a character. One of the cool things they recommend is kind of doing session 0 as a joint exercise, rather than like the game master picking an area and saying, hey, this is what we're playing in. Kind of come together, decide what type of characters and group you want to be, what type of area you want it to be in, and kind of all along that, your scope, where your group's going to be working on, the different missions you're going to be doing, the focuses, all of that, as well as the exciting incident. They recommend, rather than the kind of usually the game master for most systems will kind of do that behind closed doors, bring a session 0 where you guys kind of come out with your characters. But this, they recommend it being more of a group activity and kind of building together on that side. So even a little bit different than Mask as well, because Mask kind of has a similar thing where you kind of build your team out beforehand and kind of figure out what your exciting incident is, all with the questions they recommend for each of the playbooks. But for this one, they recommend really being like a core group activity. So, kind of along what I mentioned before, I wish that was its own section, because I was like, this is like, I'm ready to get to my character pieces, but overall, really cool still. So, now that we're kind of into the character pieces, you get to choose a playbook. So, for those who are familiar with kind of Power by the Apocalypse style games, you pick a playbook, and it kind of gives you a little bit of a insight into your character, as well as different moves they can do. So a lot of times, especially this is be a little bit different than like picking a class in D&D, for instance. When you pick a playbook, it's going to have an effect on how you RP the character. So you'll see like this one. And one thing too, just really big heads up, I should have put it out before. Don't read through these expecting to find the bending moves in there, like what, like the admin's just a firebender or vice versa. Bending, you can be a bending expert no matter what playbook you pick. Any type of bending, really no relation to it. So definitely no worries on that side. Just make sure you pick the RP and kind of the flavor that you're looking for with your character concept. And they actually even go into that next too with the character concept pieces. So with our guy, I wanted a firebending noble who's really kind of just ready to rush into the action and change things for the better. So I picked the bold. So you're somebody that's going to be fighting to live up to their self-image, something that they can kind of earn people's trust and confidence, and play if you want to build your leadership skills and reputation skills. So I wanted this guy to be known for decisive action, rushing into the fight with crazy firebending skills. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're picking the bold. This is a little bit about character concept. We touched on our guy's character concept. We're going to give him a name in a second. But this one, I usually recommend building your character concept, then going into playbooks, and they kind of go over that as well. But every person has their own design for it. Some people like to pick a class or pick a playbook and then build a concept off of that, or vice versa. Either way is cool. One thing I liked with this one, even though I got another one again, I wish it was in a different section. I love how they give you different names you can use for building your character based off the different tribes. So you have the Air Kingdom, or the Air Nomads, the Earth Kingdom. We're playing the Fire Nation guy, so we're going to name him Kayo, which is good. So I thought that was cool. I liked that. So we're using Kayo on that side. So training and fighting style. This is another one that flavors a little bit different than the mechanics on the side. So the training is very straightforward. So we'll flip over to the next page for the training. You get to pick from the 4 bending styles, being a weapon master, thinking like Sokka, or working with technology, and I am blanking on the girls from Korra's name. That was kind of more the technological expert. So you've got those 6 different styles you can pick, and you can put those into any different playbook you want. Just really want to emphasize that you're not locked in by a playbook for what you're choosing on that side. So we're playing a firebender. Kayo is a Fire Nation aristocrat, which we're going to get into in a second. So he is going to use firebending. So fighting style is something that confused me a little bit. It's mostly a flavor piece. So this is just kind of how you utilize your bending and the fighting, and kind of to fight people. And it doesn't have to be bending. So if you're a weapons expert, they even recommend you can put boomerang expert like Sokka. So with my guy being a firebender, I wanted him to make like weapons with his fire. So he's going to be somebody that makes like daggers and fire swords and all of that with his fire to just really kind of get in there. So we've got our training style, and now we've got our fighting style. Now we get to pick our background. So with our guy, Kayo, I wanted him to be Fire Nation. I wanted him to be an aristocrat. I would had some military training with the Fire Nation, and we're going to kind of set this guy in the Aang period. So he was somebody that served as a Fire Nation soldier, but saw the atrocities the Fire Nation was committing. He decided to rebel. So he joined Zhong too. So he had a noble background as a military man until he rebelled, and now was on his own trying to fight for the balance of the Avatar world. So we picked that. Now, this is another piece. This is mostly, again, flavor, and it kind of determines where your skills come from a little bit. So with those, the background, you're able to kind of determine how you approach different pieces and kind of how your mind works, and kind of determines how some of your skills and social situations may interact. And I shouldn't say flavor too, because this impacts social situations, it kind of impacts your standing in the world, and definitely has a kind of impact on how you're going to play your character. And the other stuff is more, so hometown, that's going to be kind of more of a flavor piece. We're not going to go into that too much. Demeanor is another cool way. This is something that doesn't have a direct bearing on mechanics, but it impacts how you're going to play your PC. Each of your playbook is going to give you different demeanors that you're going to use to kind of flesh out your PC. And once we get to the bolds demeanor section, we'll add those in. And then you gotta design your character like you normally would. Kayo, you were gonna say he's kind of got remnants of the Fire Nation armor. Rather than the bold red, he's kind of painted them black and silver, covering up the Fire Nation emblems. He does have a bit of a burn on his cheek, not like Zuko's, more kind of like almost like a burning sword cut into him, and just kind of left a little bit of a mark there from his time of deserting the Fire Nation. And then after that, you get into your history questions, which are cool. One of my favorite pieces with PBTA style games, because it lets you flesh out your character as well as some of the ones that have like connections to the different party members, as almost like its own little session zero. So now that we've got that built, we're going to go into the bold. So starting stats, there are 4 different stats with this system. Creativity, which focuses on kind of how you make plans, how you kind of think out of the box. Focus, how well you can kind of stubbornly dive into a task. Harmony, how well you can get along with others. Passion, how well you can manage your own passions, as well as understand the passions of others. So those are the 4 core stats. All of the moves you utilize will use kind of one of those ones to build in, including like if you're using your bending to do something, you're going to be utilizing one of those moves to make that happen. So with our demeanor, so with our guy, we're starting with creativity +1, focus +1, harmony 0, and passion surprisingly -1. I would have guessed he wouldn't that from the kind of the reading the description. So we got a -1 on the passion. Demeanor, I'm going to say he's impatient, but still a bit sensitive too. You can pick, I think you can pick multiple ones for that one. Same thing with the background, you can pick 2 of those. So we're going to pick that. He's impatient, a little bit sensitive, but always tries to do the right thing. And then you get to go through and do the history pieces. I'm not going to use that today, but definitely I highly encourage you if you are building one for the Avatar system or any PBTA style game, make sure you utilize those. Really make sure you kind of bring that RP forth as you're building your character. And then especially for the connection section, I think this is a really cool piece that you can utilize to connect with your players or kind of your fellow table members and really kind of build a good story even before you hit the ground running. So one of the big pieces for building a PC in the Avatar world is kind of working against your principle or working with your principles. So loyalty versus confidence. So that's kind of his driving piece. That's his balance one. So with this, you're going to start with balance for both at 0, though the rules do say you can tweak one of them either way. So you can do one move before you start the game, but otherwise there's going to be something that you kind of go throughout the game and change as events occur and kind of as you RP out your character. So with this Legacy of Excellence, you're going to pick different things that you want to accomplish. That's kind of how you advance, how you grow your character. So you can say lead your companions into battle. You pick 4 of those. So we're going to pick such lead our companions into battle, give your affection to someone worthy, save a friend's life, and get a fancy new outfit. So those ones are just some ones on that side just to really kind of round Kayo out and really make sure he's fitting into the Bold's legacy. So with that too, so after you kind of go through those pieces, you get to pick 2 moves from your class list that you know. So I picked Best Friend. He's got a little fuzzy armadillo guy, armadillo bat or something we'll say. I guess the Avatar always has to combine 2 animals. That's kind of his little buddy. And with that, you can understand them. They can understand you as well. But you can also utilize them whenever you need a push of luck. You can mark a fatigue and use creativity instead of passion for a roll. So passion's bad for our guys, so creativity will help them out, and we'll be able to get that bumped in. Also, with that too, I forgot to mention when we talked about our stats, you get a +1 that you get for free just with any playbook. So I'm going to add that +1 to creativity because this is a good one to use creativity on, so that bumps our creativity to 2. So when we roll those 2d6, we'll add +2. That'll help towards our rolls there. And then finally, he's a straight shooter. He's impatient, so he is one that kind of cuts to the beat, kind of really kind of dials into what needs to be done. And so with that, when somebody tells you, you can kind of look into somebody's plan, tell them the honest truth about it, and you can get them to see the flaws in their plans. If you roll on a hit, or if you fail, you may be a little bit too blunt and hurt their feelings. So with advanced moves, you get, let me clarify, this is something that I had questions on too. I had to go to the Avatar Discord, shout out to the friendly members there. So if you're doing a one-shot, you get 1 mastered move, which can be the one that you get from your playbook, tag team, but it could also be one of the other advanced moves. In the description, when you go to the character creation section, it kind of like muddies the concepts there, where I swear one area it says it can be, and others says it has to be. Clarified with the Discord, it can be. So if you wanted to pick tag team as your mastered ability, you can, or if you wanted to use one of the other advanced combat techniques, you can too. So with that, we're going to pick a different combat technique. So I saw one that was a cool one for the Firebenders and fits exactly what I was looking for. So we're going to make a fire blade. So he'll have a fire blade that he can whip out and start slashing at people with. So that's actually pretty much building your PC. So we've gotten our stats in there. With our creativity, focus, harmony, we've made our history, we've designed our look of our PC, gave them background options, we've picked our core moves, our legacy of excellent options, and now that we've got that, we've already made a PC. One thing I will say though, if you are playing versus kind of on the campaign versus a one-shot like my crew is, for a campaign, you actually get more moves, surprisingly. So you get a mastered ability, like we mentioned, which could be your playbook or one that you have access to. Or it could be, and you also get a learned ability. We're going to go into learn versus master in our mechanics video, so stay tuned for that. But kind of cool on that side. It gives you some options there. I was surprised. I thought you would have got more in the one-shot versus the campaign, where the campaign has room to grow, but they kind of went a little bit of a different direction with that one. But yeah, so that's Kayo. Usually we go through with Roll20 to build these ones. With this one, I decided just to kind of do it free form. It's fairly simple with the things we chose on that, so I didn't think we needed to go through the Roll20 aspects of adding those in. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Avatar, I'm looking forward to seeing this played. One thing I love with the PBTL style games, especially for a property like this, they're fast-paced, great RP. I could definitely break some cool moments out, so I'm looking forward to my table getting to do that. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to like, subscribe. Each month we do a different tabletop RPG. And then stay tuned for more Avatar goodness. We've got a ton more videos coming down the line with how to run the mechanics of the system, how do you run combat, as well as just a little bit of a deep dive into the different eras and how that affects your gameplay. But thanks for joining us, and until next time.